so welcome back. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. And I know that you can easily, or your guess is as good as mine, what the biggest story for this week is. It has to do with the good old Professor Frimpong Boateng. He was arrested on the 16th of May by the Special Prosecutor's Office. He's been granted a 2 million cedis bail. He's been investigated over some corruption-related issues that came up during his tenure as the chair of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. For some people, it's come to them as a matter of surprise and a matter of shock because he's supposed to be the hero. He's supposed to be helping Ghanaians fight. Or he was supposed to be the man helping Ghanaians fight small-scale illegal mining. So how come the system is fighting him? And I'm talking of Special Prosecutor's Office. Well, we'll tell you what happened a little later. But it was a news that broke 2 days ago. And we've all been following up. It's all over the place. The good old professor himself has been talking to Metro TV to shed some more light on what happened and culminating into his invitation by the Special Prosecutor. He spoke to my colleague Dr. Randy Abbey, on Good Morning Ghana. We'll play you that video. And then also the Member of Parliament for Medina, Francis Xavier Soso, has been very, very, very vocal as far as this matter is concerned as well. And also let me say that I have, I have my resource persons who are already seated in the studio. The man who speaks for government on matters of governance, Pagri Boachidankwa, is my guest this morning on Inside Page. And also, I have Professor Hamza Adam, who is a Deputy Ranking Environment, Science and Technology Committee in Parliament. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you very much for accepting to join us on Inside Pages.
Good
Prof,
morning.
this is your first time on Metro TV.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Prof hardly does media. I mean, Abdallah must have done a very good job to to drag him here because he doesn't do media. He's, usually on the quiet doing a lot more paperwork and academic paperwork and so on and so forth.
Sure.
So we're grateful that you've been able to make time to join us.
Thank you so
much.
But
anyway, so let's do this. So, Pagri Boachidankwa is also here. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Maro. It's good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Can you imagine? I was going to move on.
No, it's not a problem. It's okay. It's okay. Good morning.
He's my man. Oh, can you imagine? Anyway, but let's do this. Let's now play the interview that Dr. Randy Abbey had with Professor Frimpong Boateng, after which we have some other videos to show you. Watch this.
I received a letter from him. Incidentally, a lot of people have sued me. I received his rate. And the next day, I got an invitation from the special prosecutor. I'm not saying that the two are linked for discussion or an interview because they are investigating corruption and corruption-related activities at the IMCIM and so on. So I'm a person of interest, and therefore I should present myself for an interview. On the 16th of May, at 10 o'clock, I should be there. And I went there. It took some time for the lawyers to assemble. So at about 10:15, 10:30, we went to the 7th floor. And I was ushered into a room, sat down, and opposite me was a gentleman who was introduced as the chief investigator. And my lawyers were there on my right-hand side. And a few officers from the OSPs were also there. And as soon as I sat down, this investigator comes to me, put his left hand on my right shoulder and says, "You are under arrest." What are my charges? There were no specific charges except that they say they are investigating a certain corruption and corruption-related activities. Anyway, so I stayed there till about 1:30 or so, and at the end of it all, I was asked to be bailed before I could leave. I was asked to write a statement, and so a friend of mine who was down there came up and bailed me, and I was not even given the opportunity of a self-recognizance bail or something.
Are you saying you were not granted a self-recognizance bail?
No.
You weren't?
My friend had, and then they went to my friend's house, to see what he was saying, so that in case I absconded, they'll be able to apprehend him and then show, and get to me. I was so fascinated with the statement made by the president that he's putting his presidency online to fight this thing. And that was why I even went there, and I wanted to give everything. And we did a lot. If we had the free hand to do what we wanted to do, we have solved the problem. In fact, we nearly succeeded in solving the problem. And I'll explain to you. And so at some point, we're able to make sure that those who were registered to mine had been trained at Takwa, they had their licenses, and they had everything that they need to go back to the field. And every now and then, we wrote letters, listed them, and sent them to the stakeholders so that they can go and start their work. And they went to the field, they were working very well. And then we noticed that there was a bigger problem. There were bigger mining companies like C&J Alaska. I'll mention this name because they caused a lot of destruction in Diaso, where unfortunately Captain Muhammad died, So, and these people were not, they were supposed to be so-called large-scale mining, but they were using small-scale technology, had a lot of machinery, a lot of big people behind, and they were causing the destruction. And we had more or less no power over them, as it were. And there were several of such people, and they were the cause of most of the damage, and not the small-scale miners association. And so that is where the problem started. If you go to a place, and then somebody calls you that I know these people, powerful people who call you from all sorts of places, corridors for power and the party. I know these people, they have their alliances and they can work, and you know very well that they don't. And but then they still go on, and some of them have security provided by regular military people. How can Frimpong Boating or his committee do anything about this? I mean, everybody accepts that it's not going well, and it's not going well. And I think that it will not go well.
Why?
For some time, because a lot of those involved, I mean, from both sides, from MPP and NDC, and I think I've mentioned that, in one of the regions, the NDC had the upper hand in destroying the environment. So, even in the best of times, when the economy was relatively better, people depended upon illegal mining for income. And now that things are not going very well, and we are going into an election year, I don't see how there's going to be any headway in this fight against this illegality. They said, in support of this independence declaration, we pledge our lives, our wealth, and our secret honor that it will work in America, it will be prosperous. I have never seen any such commitment. So whoever wants to convince me, I mean, so far I've not heard any statement to that effect. That look, we are coming, and we are going to be different. We are going to unite this country. This division, sharp divisions should no longer exist. The political parties are not enemies. Our enemies are out there. We are competing with people who are serious, in education, in health, in agriculture. You see, Africa is the only continent where the green revolution has not yet taken place. So what we've been doing is, to me, it's a joke. And we need to be serious, be committed to the people of this country, make sure that we survive as a people. I want a government that will serve this nation, unite this nation. Whether they will break the eight or they can't break it, that is not important to the nation. We want a nation that is on the path of truth, righteousness, and sustainable development.
Does your party fit this description?
At this present time?
Yes.
No, I mean, I'll be a fool to say that, yes. No, it's not.
The arrest yesterday and the commencement of investigation rather create the impression that if you choose to be an anti-corruption crusader, corruption comes fighting you. I mean, the institutions come fighting you. That is the impression it creates. It may not be the correct impression, but that is the impression it creates. Everyone can be arrested upon reasonable suspicion of a crime, or maybe by a warrant of a court. So if you indeed are suspected of having committed crime, it's immaterial that you are exposing crime. You could also be arrested. But the point is that we have all monitored from afar the activities of the activities of the anti-Galamsey, crusaders, and the interministerial committee that has been leading this activity. And we have seen from afar a number of issues raised by their activities, including the damning revelation made by Professor Frimpong Boating. So one would have thought that if the OSP is really interested in investigating any aspect of the interministerial committee's work, then the OSP will be investigating the committee as a whole and investigating the complaints and the issues they've raised as a whole, but not targeting the head of the leader of the committee in this manner. Clearly, for me, it doesn't show an action in good faith.
So you feel he's been targeted because he's out there to expose elements in this ruling government who have something to do with illegal mining?
Absolutely. I mean, there is no doubt that people have raised concerns about people close to power or people in government that have, interest in illegal mining. And it's sad because I consider any money made out of Galamsey as blood money.
All right, so you heard the Member of Parliament for the Medina constituency, that's Francis Xavier Sosu, also giving his thoughts about what's happening to Professor Frimpong Boating. Now, let's do this. I'm going to show you the letter that was sent to Professor Frimpong Boating inviting him, the Special Prosecutor's Office inviting him for an interrogation. Now, this is very important because it's going to feature in our conversation shortly. We're gonna put that down. We're gonna put that one up. Good. Now, this is what the invitation letter reads. So it says press release Thursday, 4th May, 2023, and it says right now the invitation letter reads. I'm gonna just do this quickly. Great. So it says. Invitation to attend the office of the Special Prosecutor. It says, earlier today I received a letter from the office of the Special Prosecutor inviting me to assist the office as a person necessary for the investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. I have formally communicated my willingness to attend the invitation to support the OSP in its work. And I'm going to read it again. Earlier today, I received a letter from the Office of the Special Prosecutor inviting me to assist the office as a person necessary for the investigations into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. And it says, I have formally communicated my willingness to attend the invitation and to support the OSP in its work. That's from Professor Frimpong Boating. This was actually an acknowledgement to the invitation that was sent to him.
A statement issued by the Special Prosecutor said his office insists that issues...
The Special Prosecutor itself, now this is what the Special Prosecutor actually sent to Professor Frimpong Boating. Illegal mining update, press release, and it says, on 10th October 2022, the Office of the Special Prosecutor published that it had commenced investigations into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of illegal mining. It was stated that the investigation targeted the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, which is IMSIM, especially in respect of the seizure and the management of excavators, machinery, vehicles, gold nuggets, officials of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Forestry Commission, and other public officials and private persons. The OSP acknowledges the recent calls for action and investigations into these matters by the public and civil society following the publication of a report on part of these matters authored by a former Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation and head of the dissolved IMSIM. It says the OSP welcomes the calls for
highlighted in the recently leaked report conducted by the former Environment Minister, Prof.
and far-reaching, and it also covers the matters raised in the report published by the head of the dissolved IMSIM. The OSP will make the necessary action against all persons deemed culpable of corruption and corruption-related offences in the mining sector. Yep. So, as you can see, the Office of the Special Prosecutor had given notice way earlier that that it was going to be inviting some persons related to this matter. Now, I'm going to read my last letter. Sorry, I told Dr. Kenashigbe, Dr. Engineer Kenashigbe it's on Zoom. It's going to be giving us his thought briefly on this. Doc, first of all, Doc, good morning. Let me welcome you to Inside Pages. Hello, Doc. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Doc. Thank you very much for accepting to join us on Inside Pages.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now before we even proceed, let me just read this letter because this is going to form the basis for our conversation. The letter that invited Professor Frimpong Boating to appear before the special prosecutor for some questioning, and it says direction to attend this Office of the Special Prosecutor. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has commenced investigations into suspected corruption and corruption-related offences in respect of the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, IMSIM. The OSP considers you a person necessary for the investigations. You are directed to attend the Office of the Special Prosecutor at 6. That's Haile Selassie. That's Haile Selassie Avenue, South Ridge, Accra, on Tuesday, 16 May 2023 at 10 a.m. for interviewing. You may be accompanied by, it says, counsel of your choice. You are further directed to come along with all the necessary documents in respect of the work of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, IMSIM, faithfully Kisi Ejabing, signed, Special Prosecutor. What do you find wrong with this invitation? And having monitored all the things that Professor Frimpong Boating has said as to what happened with him when he appeared before the Special Prosecutor, what are your thoughts?
Well, thank you very much. So, I think hindsight, has made me a bit wiser because when initially I saw the story of the invitation, I was really taken aback, because what I then looked at was the coincidence. If you remember that it was somewhere in October that the special prosecutor said he was looking into that case. And then it was after the report that was authored by the professor had finally been leaked, something he submitted long ago had been leaked. Then you start seeing all the lawsuits against him. And then you get an invitation of the special prosecutor to him. And not only that, but then also when he gets, after he's arrested, he's not even allowed to post a self-recognizance bail, but he had to have somebody bail him, and then they had to go to the person's house, to go and do what they would have done if it was, nobody like Kenneth Ashibe, but this is a professor, a former cabinet minister and all of that. So you would have thought that at least. And this is somebody who's put a report out. So your expectation is that, he himself, at least if even it is the standard procedure of the OSP as we are now beginning to understand, and so when you say invitation, please, when the police invites you, it is not for you to go and eat, gobe. When they invite you and they tell you that you may bring your lawyer along, it's almost like an arrest. but the coincidence was worrying. And for me now, I also would want to give the special prosecutor the benefit of the doubt, because I know that he's going to be on a sister station very soon discussing these issues. I really would want to hear him, because what we would need from the special prosecutor is that, and we've also heard subsequently that he's also interested in the report that the venerable professor authored. It is important that this be treated like the way the special prosecutor has treated other cases, very openly, very firmly, but fairly as well. So we all know that the interministerial committee did not only have a chairperson and a secretary, but there are other people, who also work, the other ministers of state, the other politically exposed people, the current ministers who served on that particular committee as well. And then we are also being, taught, and that in Ghana, crime does not have vicarious effect. So we cannot be blaming, only the professor because he was chairman for the mishaps of the rest of them. So that is important. But then also I would urge the special prosecutor that, apart from the fact that we'll be really watching with him with very close eyes, and making sure that he's treating this thing with a hot stove principle, we also need to be mindful of the fact that this is somebody who now is one of the most critical prosecution witnesses you can find. Because this is the chairman who's authored a report and has mentioned names of people who could become suspects, so far as this is concerned. And so in handling him, you need to deal with him in such a way, that he does not decide to plead the fifth, but will rather be cooperative so that we can get to the bottom of this.
Now, I've heard some people say that as a country, we are majoring on the minor because there's a bigger issue about, as you rightly said, some individuals who are making this fight against small-scale illegal mining a difficult one. And so our focus and attention should be on that and not issues about how many excavators have been missing, you've been given a quantum of money to spend, how much of it have you spent, how much you spend on buying a paper toilet roll, etc. Issues about gold seizures and where are they. That is not to say they are not important, but that's not really, the big ticket items we should be looking at. Do you agree with those who make that kind of argument, that we are majoring on the minor?
Well, you see, and that's, again, I would want to, I don't know all the information that the special prosecutor has, so you would want to find out what are in details, what is it that the special prosecutor is looking at, what is it that he has seen that we need to deal with. So that would help you answer this question, whether those are actual minors, so I would not quickly run to that yet. But I would agree with you to say there are graver matters. We are dealing with ecological terrorism as we speak. We are dealing with our very existence as we speak. We are being attacked on the health side. I have seen some footage from some pathologists, some medical people, of children born with 4 legs and 2 hands. I have seen the fetuses of stillborn babies that have 6 digits on their hands and their feet and their hands, so then we also know of the fact that now even kidney diseases, the incidence has gone up in a lot of these mining areas. The age at which it's hitting people has gone up. There are a lot of strange disease. So on the health front, these ecological terrorists are hitting us there. They are also hitting us at the economic front. We know for a fact, and the president has said it at some point in time, there are some reports that says that countries like Switzerland, like UAE, what they claim to import, the gold they claim to import from Ghana, is far more than what we have exported. So we're losing on the, there's an economic warfare that is being waged. We also know for a fact that the Chinese have now, and some of them, they even took experts from Ghana, and they are in the process of producing cocoa, whilst they are one of the major foreigners, in our country. damaging our forests, destroying our cocoa, and then also now you have the situation where the European Union are threatening to ban, because if they find cocoa coming from forests that have been destroyed, and we know Galamsey is destroying forests. We know for a fact that in Japan, before our cocoa now gets to Japan, the rigorous tests it has to go through. So at the economic front, there's warfare actually going on in there. Then our water bodies, the fact that now, most of our major water bodies are lost. The ecology in all of them is a problem. The poisons that are getting into not only the rivers, but now also getting into the seas as well. So in all fronts, there is ecological suicide that we are committing. So it is important that we demonstrate a seriousness to this particular fight. And that's the reason why, for me, I've been calling that the president at this time with the professor's report should be commissioning either a committee or a commission, to look into this particular, disaster that stares us in the face, so that we can get independent-minded people of great repute that can come together in an open manner, invite evidence, get people to sit in public, and then be able to look into this and an inquiry into this. But the vehicle that sets it up should be such that after the commission or committee has done its work, government should commit to, giving us commitment that they are not going to issue a white paper to whitewash their findings. And then also the outcome of that should be able to lead to prosecution, to be able to lead to a reform of the way natural resource governance go. If you look into that report, there are situations where cabinet directives have been flouted by particular people, and these I know are not issues that the special prosecutor would look at, but this is something that if you had a commission or a committee made out of the right people sitting together on it, they would be able to uncover, and then we'll be able to bring a stop to the devastating effect of this illegality that we are doing. That even in times of war, one of the war crimes are when you pollute the water bodies of your enemy. I wonder what will be said of people who pollute their own water bodies. I wonder how people who would work together with other foreigners to come and destroy our water bodies. And that one of the disasters that we are caught in is the possibility of a border conflict with Cote d'Ivoire, because our activities are also polluting their water bodies as well.
Sorry, my penultimate question to you, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, is this, that, days after the talk about why invite Professor Frimpong Boating when there are others he worked with, it was a teamwork. So why the focus on Professor Frimpong Boating? I'm told we've lost Dr. Ken Ashigbe, unfortunately. We'll try and get him back to continue. Because
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Okay, good. Now, when I'm saying that, days after the talk about the fact that why focus on Professor Frimpong Boating when there were other individuals that he worked with, for instance, the secretary of the INSEM, and then just a day or two later, we get this news breaks that Charles Bisu has also been invited by the office of the special prosecutor. In his case, the lawyer says no, he's not attending any, he's not honoring any invitation, because as far as he's concerned, he's actually in court with the special prosecutor himself, not even the office. What do you make of this?
Well, for the Charles, or the issue of Charles, that's not new. We know that this case has been lingering on for a while, and Charles has gone to court, for some interlocutory injunctions against the office of the special prosecutor and all of that. So that for me is not new. I am not a lawyer to as well, but you don't think
it was reactionary? You don't think it was reactionary?
Not necessarily, no, okay. Not necessarily. From what I know about that case and the way Charles, he's been fighting that. This is not new, and so I'm not surprised that the lawyer was talking about the fact that warrant that the special prosecutor has gone to get. They were even looking at the legality of it because it was ex parte, okay. And all of that, and they were going to fight it and all of that. I don't think it's reactionary, but I'm really hoping to see that the special prosecutor would announce to us, as he said, other people, because it's not only a secretary and the chairman that runs that.
Okay.
There are various people, you know. I am hearing that the special prosecutor is talking about Ewusi and co. But what about the other members of the interministerial committee, the other ministers that used to sit on the committee with him? What about the other chairpersons of or CEOs of various committees like the Minerals Commission and all, who sat also on the committee with them? So the special prosecutor should be seen to be very open in the way they're dealing with this particular issues. And I'm also interested, you know, that the special prosecutor also mentioned the fact that they were looking into the Akonta mining case as well. So I'm interested in what he's doing with that. You remember, just on Thursday, we were back again at the police, the petition that we sent to the IGP, which he had forwarded to the Director General CID as well. We had written again asking questions because, you know, we are not hearing anything. So we were there back again to meet an officer that the Director General CID had given to speak to us. And in that meeting, we expressed, you know, our frustration about the slow pace at which, you know, investigation into that particular case was going, considering the fact that on the face of it, you have a minister who had indicated that this company was involved in an illegality. You have the Minerals Commission, which is the regulatory body for the industry, also collaborating that they had not been given a license. You have evidence, you know, from there's footage, video footage of the fact that this company were in the Tanonimre Forest Reserve, where they don't have a license, and the damage that has been done to over 13 hectares of land. You know, there are drone footages of that. Not only that, you also have the situations where in the outside the forest reserve where the Akonta mining had a lease, they had also breached the buffer law, you know, which talks about the buffer between their concession and the Tano River. And all of that is a sin against the Minerals and Mining Act. And then you have situations where the police themselves were involved in separating a clash between the people of Samra Boy and the workers of Akonta mining because of the fact that they were in the forest, you know, mining illegally. And so, on the face of this, for us, it was frustrating that by this time this case was not in court. But then the officer, when we met him, said, well, there were still investigations going on. They've had, you know, cause to invite the directors of Akonta mining and all of that. But we still need to see a lot more action, and it has to be done quickly, because I'm not a lawyer, but the lawyers say that justice delayed is justice denied. Okay. So it is important that this particular case really sees its time in court, but we also have to give it to the police that they need to do a good job so that when they go to court, you know, the case is not thrown out or we do not lose. But it is really important that in situations like this, because these are the things that really provide fuel to the illegality, when they find out that one of the directors is the chairperson of the ruling party in the Ashanti region. You know, you have cases like this. You have cases of the former MC for Busume Freho, who was caught on tape confessing to an illegality, a sin against the Minerals and Mining Act. All we've heard is that whether he's been dismissed or he's been told to step aside, we don't know. Where is that case as well? So it is important, and for you journalists who have the mandate to hold leadership account, we can't just take the assurances that have been given to us by the Director General CID through his officers, but we need to keep the pressure on so that the right things will be done.
Ken, you sound frustrated.
Well, I am positively frustrated, and my frustration is what is keeping me in ensuring that as a country, Ghana, we don't go the way of ancient Ghana. Bear in mind, there was ancient Ghana that became extinct, and the rate at which we're going, the tendency for us to also become extinct is really possible, where we are poisoning ourselves, killing ourselves and all of that. But, the people who are doing this thing want you and I to be frustrated and stop. Okay. But rather, we should let our frustration force us to do what we ought to do. And I'm happy that I had the German ambassador begin to ask questions of our governance, so far as our natural resources are concerned. And for us at the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, two of the things that we'll be doing differently is to be able to be writing to some of these so-called development partners, the IMF, the World Bank, and all of these, to say, as we are coming to them and asking them to provide us resources, they should be asking us questions. How are you dealing with your raw materials governance? Okay. What's the governance around that? You should not be, if you want money from us, you should not then be destroying your forest and then having to spend the money we give you to now want to reclaim your land and restore your waters. You should not be allowing billions of dollars of the resources that you're taking out to be fleeting out of your country. You should not allow your people to be dying and getting sick, and then you have to be using money now to be curing them. So they also need to be asking us questions. Then the next bit that we need to do is to try and get some good lawyers who understand this whole natural resource governance and start going to court, start suing people like companies like Heritage Imperial, who were giving prospecting licenses but had 24 excavators in some forest reserves, damaging the land. Companies like Akonta Mine, who we have evidence that they also engaged in it, but also entities that are supposed to be policing this while failing to do this. I think the time has come for us, beyond you journalists doing investigative reportage, putting the pressure on leadership to ensure that we can get some change. We need to now start going the next steps. So my invitation is to lawyers who can help us in this particular regard, so that we can then also start bringing cases in court, both here in Ghana and maybe the international tribunals and all of that, to force the government, to force the institutions of state to also start taking action, so that we can save ourselves from the damage. Look at the footage you're showing on your screen. Which country, which is not in war, would be doing the things that we're doing to ourselves?
Doc, thank you very much for talking to us, and it's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Well, so let's keep on fighting. The Aluta continuas.
Aluta continua. We're with you on this one. That's Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe. He's the convener Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, talking to us on Inside Pages. I also joining the conversation is Professor Hamza Adam. He's the Deputy Ranking Environment, Science and Technology Committee. He's also here with us. And Opagri Bwachidankwa is a government spokesperson on governance and security. Let me also say that those of you who have been asking about a WhatsApp line so you can contribute to the conversation, it's a 0553 that's 30,035. So 0553000035. It will shortly be displayed on the screen so that you can send out your thoughts on the Professor Frimpong Boating and all that is happening with the Special Prosecutor's Office. So 055 30,000, actually 30,035. It will shortly be on the screens. So that we want to hear from you what you think of that. So I'll start with Mr. Pakrif Bwachidankwa. Mr. Pakrif Bwachidankwa, the Special Prosecutor's Office is an independent institution, so you don't speak for that office. You are only speaking from government's point of view, how government also sees what is happening with this Professor Frimpong Boating. But how do you feel when, as a government spokesperson, you hear all this talk about there's a certain conspiracy theory, government intends to, how do we call it? There's a word. It's just escape. It's a diversionary tactic. Professor Frimpong Boating has sort of made this government look bad, and so you want to do something to also make Professor Frimpong Boating look bad in the eyes of right-thinking Ghanaians. You literally want to chip away his credibility. How do you respond to those kinds of commentary that's been coming up since this whole Professor Frimpong Boating issue came up?
Maura, very good morning to you, and very good morning to your viewers and to Prof. Obviously, today is a very loaded conversation as it relates to illegal mining and galamsey.
Absolutely.
But yesterday, you recall that government planted over 10 million seedlings, and so
it was 10 million. I thought it was 20 million. 10 million.
Yeah, so over 10 million, so 20 million seedlings, which has come at the backbench of all our efforts against climate change and our emissions around the world. And so we commend the government and commend the Ghanaian people for their continuous contribution. Green Ghana Day.
Okay, Green Ghana Day.
Green Ghana Day. And commend the Honorable Minister, the Honorable Samuel Abujinapo, for his excellent leadership within that regard. Also to bring special greetings to Judge Famboitio for Repenning, who is currently having a health screening today. So immediately I'm done from here.
You're heading towards,
I'm going to be part of the health screening.
Where's it taking place, in Chebi?
In Chebi, okay. Yes, so for the whole community and the constituents. Moro, I would want to start the conversation on the fight against illegal mining, on the mandate that the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, gave to the committee. And just for the avoidance of doubt, to remind the listeners and the viewing public, the first mandate was that the committee was to strengthen the existing stakeholder agencies that are related to the artisanal and small-scale mining sector, which is Minerals Commission, EPA, Water Resources, and Forestry Commission. The second is to ensure that these agencies enforce the existing laws that are related to the artisanal and small-scale mining sector. The third is to set up ad hoc district mining committees whose functionings are to coordinate the various activities of the ministries that constitute the IMSIM. The fourth is to vet and verify legally registered artisanal and small-scale mining companies and to regularize any discrepancies where possible. The fifth is to sanitize and regularize small-scale mining activities in the various mining districts to ensure that miners work within the legal framework. The sixth is to train artisanal and small-scale miners in sustainable mining and mineral processing practices. The sixth is to reclaim degraded land and restore impacted water bodies. And finally, and not the least, is to coordinate the activities of related alternative livelihoods for the youth, especially illegal miners in the various mining communities. So with this particular framework, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in 2017 set up this committee, which clearly tells us as a people and even as a country that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's efforts against illegal mining is high. Clearly, the president has stated that anyone that is found culpable in acts of illegal mining will be dealt with according to the law. There are no conspiracies from the side of government as to either wanting to malign or degrade anyone's personality or integrity. Now, this committee has been working since 2017. When they were done with their work, they submitted their report to the president. Now, the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, after reviewing the report, referred the report for further investigations to the CID and then also to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. I'm aware and reliably informed that persons whose names were captured in the report by some allegations that were made without substantial proofs have been invited by the CID to put together their statement. I'm aware of that. And so I'm also aware that the Office of the Special Prosecutor is also intently inviting persons whose names have also been mentioned to also put up their statement.
Right.
I think that the over-fixated nature of the conversation on the chairman is what is making everyone feel that government is wanting to malign. It is not the intention of government, not the intention of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to either malign or degrade anybody. The fight against illegal mining in this country, Maura, and I tell you the truth, is bigger than any individual. Which is why President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo at the very beginning sought to set up this interministerial committee and gave them some key mandates that they were supposed to fulfill. For us as a government, the initial stages are that we had a stakeholder engagement with the necessary stakeholders. One primarily are the chiefs. You recall that the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, together with the minister responsible for lands and natural resources, had a bigger stakeholder meetings with all the chiefs in Greater Accra, where we had various conversations around the mining sites and how people must be responsible and people must ensure that they are continually doing responsible mining. The president further on went to have a meeting in the Ashanti region with the House of Chiefs, including the president of the National House of Chiefs, to reiterate that the mandate and the power has been given to the chiefs, that the land does belong to the chiefs, which is why in recent times you will hear a number of chiefs saying that you cannot do illegal mining in my community or in my town, which is why in recent times you would find paramount chiefs and senior chiefs sacking some chiefs who are purported to be overseeing some illegal mining that is going on. Our government as well launched the Alternative Livelihood Program, which is a mandate that was given by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in the setting up on the committee that offer truth. Yes, there are certain illegal mining sites where there are young people that are involved in those illegal mining sites. And the reason is that they do not have an alternative livelihood that is going on. So as a government, we thought it wise to set up the Alternative Livelihood Program to derail the young people from going to the illegal mining site so that they will have an alternative livelihood for themselves to be able to take care of themselves and their family. Now, the president also gave a clear mandate on water bodies. Now, when we realized that the water bodies are being destroyed by illegal mining, our government brought in a number of mercury-free machines. Now, these mercury-free machines that our government brought in is to make sure that persons that are involved in legal and responsible mining do not go to wash their mine, their gold and glitters and alloy at the water bodies. These free mercury-free machines are working now as I speak to you in this country. The other thing was that our government sought to ensure that there are a number of people that are involved in illegal mining who are not registered. And so we sought to look at those that are legally registered, mandated by the law to do responsible mining. And so our government sought to ensure that the places where people are doing illegal mining, we set up Operation Halt. If you recall, we set up Operation Halt to make sure that people that are doing illegal mining, their mining sites are decommissioned, which is where we realized that there were excavators that were taken and all of those efforts that were put in place by our government. Now, Moro, you would also recall very well that our government sought to ensure that the various mining sites that had been excavated in years, that had become a death trap for communities, our government sought to ensure that we reclaim those sites. And I'm aware, very much aware, that a number of mining sites that have been destroyed over the years, including even responsible mining, have been reclaimed by our government over the years, which was not what was there. And so our government clearly has been extremely very responsible in the fight against illegal mining. Now, Moro, the other aspect as well is that if you look at the report and the allegations that have been put to place, it is fair for any well-meaning Ghanaian to take a very closer look at the conversation, and in taking a very closer look at the conversation, to ensure that the veracity of the allegations that have been brought up, those veracity of the issues are brought to bear for the Ghanaian people to appreciate the truth.
Okay.
Yes, it's a greater concern to see that people are doing illegal mining, which is why we sought to register people who are involved in mining, who need some proper regulations so that their mining sites can continue. And I am aware that hundreds of small-scale miners who were in a committee were brought by the head of the committee for the minister to give them license so that they can continue to operate their small-scale mining in a responsible manner. And so our government frowns very strongly on anybody that is purported to be involved in illegal mining, which is why the president set up the mandate for the committee to investigate into this. I can tell you of a truth that in recalling the various mandates that were given by the president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, a sizable part of that has been achieved. A sizable part of the mandate that the president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo gave to the interministerial committee has been achieved.
Okay, let me ask you this, Paragraph. Now, you know, also at the heart of all of this, and for which reason some feel that the government is not committed to the fight against small-scale illegal mining, there's been talk about how long this report, whether it is Professor Frimpong Boateng's personal opinion or it's actually a committee's report, that's another matter for another day. But there are some who feel that this report stayed with the president for too long. I want to ask you this now. Do you know when the president actioned on this report? Because the report was submitted to him in 2020. Do you know when the president actioned on this report? Because there's been talk about the fact that the report was given to the chief of staff, and Professor Frimpong Boateng said he doesn't even know whether the chief of staff actually gave it to the president. So I need some clarity. If you have some information on that, I'll be very happy. Because you've shared with us some revealing information about the fact that everybody who has been mentioned in that report has been invited by the police CID, and the special prosecutor says he's going to do the same. We don't know how the extent to which the special prosecutor has gone in doing that. But if you have any additional information for us in terms of when the president decided to act on the report, I'll be very happy.
Moro, the report that I have, signed by Professor Kwambena Frimpong Boateng, is dated 19th March 2021.
2021. Okay, so it was actually, so it was submitted in 2021 March. Okay.
So my immediate assumption would be that it was received at the presidency in 2021.
Right.
Now, Moro, the programs that I mentioned in terms of the mandate that was given by the report, a number of them and the deliverables of that also continued from 2021.
Right.
And so I can say of a truth that the president actioned the report the moment he received the report.
Okay.
The moment. So the assumption that people are saying that the report lied at the presidency for 2 years without any action is inaccurate.
So you know this for a fact?
No, because I know this for a fact because the president has met the National House of Chiefs after 2021. The president, we have had Operation Hot 2, which mandate has been given to the Ghana Armed Forces to get back into the illegal mining site and continue to decommission sites that are operating illegally. A list of legal mining sites have been given to them, and as they go through the various communities and towns, they see mining sites that are legally operating, they pass by them. Those that are operating illegally, they decommission them.
Papa Griff, why didn't the government come out to inform the public, especially when you look at the extent of interest that Ghanaians had attached to this fight against small-scale illegal mining, for which reason we actually have a coalition whose convener is Dr. Kenashibe. Don't you think that government could have helped itself? Of course, hindsight, they say it's 2020. Government could have helped itself by coming out to say that, well, the IMSIM chair, or the IMSIM, as in the committee, has produced a report, okay? And the report contains A, B, C, D, based on which, well, not necessarily everything, but just give us some broad strokes of what the report is about. And the actions that have happened thereof, that would have prevented the suspicion that some people have that, but for the fact that this report leaked, no Ghanaian, aside those who work at the presidency, would have actually known that there was such a report.
No, I mean, bro, I think that the efforts.
Also, you think it wasn't necessary?
No, I'm not saying. I think that the efforts of governance is very broad.
Right.
I mean, the efforts of governance is broad. It's a number of wide range value change conversations that it's had. This report was presented to the presidency in March 2021. Since March of 2021, we've seen efforts of deliverables based on issues that have been raised in the report that the government has addressed. And so it's neither here nor there as it relates to the fact that, yes, the report has been submitted to the president has reviewed it, and there's been a press conference on it, and the president has made these actions. I think that what we have sought to do is to ensure that we look at the letter and look to how we can be able to bring solutions to it. And so in actioning that, there's been solutions that have been provided from the very highest level of government.
Yeah, but when you look back I understand you. I mean, at the time, this was the thinking, definitely, which is that let's focus on doing the job rather than communicating to the public that there's a certain report and this is what we're doing. But I'm saying that when the report came out, and you heard Ghanaians say, oh, so there is such a report and we didn't know anything about it? Is it because certain individuals have been mentioned in the report which the president, quote and unquote, is uncomfortable about? That's why the president is not sharing the content of the report with us? So I'm saying that looking back, yes, I mean, at the time, the thinking at the time made a lot of sense. But fast forward, would you say that perhaps, just perhaps, if this report had been made public it would have avoided all these suspicions and conspiracy theories that are being thrown about everywhere?
Moro, I hold a very different opinion.
That's fine.
And I'll tell you. Okay. Because the Interim Ministerial Committee was set up in 2017. The president's first term ended in 2020 and then the second term began when the Ghanaian people renewed his mandate. So obviously, if an interministerial committee has been set up in the first term, the ordinary thinking would be that once the president's first term is coming to an end, the committee's end comes to an end.
Okay.
And any committee that meets obviously will put together reports. I mean, I think,
But we're talking about
it follows precedence.
but we're talking about the fight against small-scale illegal mining. It's a totally different kettle of fish.
I can agree. I can agree to that. But the essence of the fight against illegal mining is that these meetings that were held by the Interministerial Committee and the reports thereof that has been put together has been delivered. The deliverables of the report that has sought to address the challenges have been delivered in the second term of the president. From 2021, we have seen efforts.
But I'm saying, is that enough?
No.
To just focus on working rather than communicating to Ghanaians?
No, but you need a balance of both.
Absolutely.
Yes, but I'm saying that what the Ghanaian people want is solutions. What the Ghanaian people want is that, yes, the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has been very responsible. The president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has been one of the most responsible presidents as it relates to his efforts against the fight against illegal mining.
Okay.
That's a fact.
All right.
So he set up this committee in 2017, mandated them to a number of deliverables, close to about 7 of those deliverables.
And those
we saw those deliverables coming to bear.
Okay.
At the end of the president's first term, the committee came to an end. They submitted their report, obviously, in 2021 when the second term began. The deliverables of the report have been ongoing till date. Till date,
Okay.
like I stated, there's been mercury-free machines that have come. Like I stated, Galam Stop is still on the road. Like I stated, the decommissioning of some illegal sites are ongoing. Like I stated, alternative livelihood program is ongoing by the government. Like I stated, reclaiming of lands that have been destroyed over the years.
I get all of that.
Our government has reclaimed those hectares.
I get all of that.
Clearly, if you look at all of this and you look at the letter of the report,
Okay.
you can clearly say that government has been meeting up to the needs of the report and the suggestions and the challenges that were put in the report by Professor Frimpong Boating. And this is where we are today.
All right.
So the matters that have gone to the OSP and the matters that have gone to the CID is to investigate corruption and corrupted related activities,
Okay.
which is the mandate by the OSP and the mandate by the CID.
Professor Hamza, as a member of the Committee on Environment, Science and Technology, to what extent has Parliament been observing, or your committee, or personally you having been observing all that has been happening with Professor Frimpong Boating, what appears to be an interesting turn of events where the special prosecutors invited him for questioning? What do you make of all of that?
Good morning to you, good morning to my colleague, and then good morning to all viewers. I have a preliminary comment.
Sure.
Before I go into responding to your question. There's a negative growing trend in the country that I have been monitoring. It appears that we are not trying to recognize the value of intellectualism. What I have been observing is that it looks like when an intellectual or a high-profile personality volunteer him or herself to serve the nation independently or with the heart, then the fellow will be frustrated.
Right.
I see the Frimpong Boating's case as one of the typical examples. This is a self-accomplished man who has joined politics with an open mind to help develop the nation. And look at what we are doing to him. Let me tell you a secret. Intellectuals, when they join politics, they are not interested in money. They go with their mind because we believe that the biggest legacy you can leave is to leave a good name, not make money. And so for Professor Frimpong Boating, an accomplished neurosurgeon, of which everybody knows what he has made in life, to be put through this kind of ridiculous situation, I think is something that is very, very sad.
So you are one of those who agrees with those who thinks that the system is fighting him for fighting corruption?
I believe so,
Okay.
and I support that position.
Right.
Let me indicate, my friend has enumerated the objectives of the committee.
For setting up the committee.
Yeah, for setting up the committee. Right. And he has also argued that the committee has chopped a lot of successes so far as fighting Galamsey is concerned. I think if you read the report carefully, if you peruse the report carefully, I believe strongly that you will disagree with his position. Because the chairman of the committee himself is making it very clear, has enumerated several challenges, that when you go through those challenges, you know that it will be difficult for somebody or a committee to have those challenges and be able to achieve the needed success. Let's look at a few of them. In the report, he has indicated that some of the ministries that were part of the interministerial committee abandoned. They abandoned the committee alongside, except local government. He has made it clear. He has also made it clear that some appointees and MPs who were part of the board were themselves found involved in this particular business. That is a huge indictment on the committee's composition. He has also made it clear that they were the offering of virtual concessions went into the hands of the wrong people. It was something that undermined the decision that was taken by the committee and the president, that it was agreed that the mining, small-scale mining, was going to be halted for a particular period, 3 to 6 months. And in between that, they introduced this virtual concession and were given to miners, and they went into this into the business. This was one of these frustrations of the committee, and which he has indicated, he has explained that in the committee. He has also made it clear that the removal of the Vanguard, the Operation Vanguard, from the fight of the committee was one of the biggest frustrations, because at that point when they withdrew them, they put in police, and these police came and they were involved in all kinds of things, and so it marred the process. He has also made it clear and even named some members from the Flagstaff House who were involved in the business. So you can imagine it's just like you have asked somebody to go and pick something for you, and you have also gone to hide that in somewhere. Where will the fellow find it? So they were people. They sent them, the people from the seat of government. The people from the seat of government were the very ones who were involved in the act. And that is not surprising, because we have said it over time that it will be difficult to be able to achieve success in this illegal mining if government doesn't take certain decisions that are independent of politics.
Prof, how about those who say that when you read the Professor Frimpong Boating, there's a lot of hearsays, there's a lot of speculations, there's a lot of claims which have not been backed by facts. And so let's not place a lot of premium on some of the things he says unless he's able to, provide hardcore evidence to back what he says.
It's a report. It's a report, and a report is not put up by one person.
Right.
And these are the people who were on the ground.
Yeah, but the same professor said that the people who sat with them on the committee all abandoned him, or members of the committee abandoned him, apart from the local government ministry. So I'm wondering who he worked with.
I think the report is evidenced enough to be able to work with, because this is a document that I believe strongly that has been developed by the committee.
Right. Because he says he stands by everything he said anyway.
Yes, and
I know. In fact, he said he has evidence, and that when called upon to provide, he will. So yeah.
I am thinking that my disappointment on this matter again is that government should have come out with a committee to look into the report, into detail, so that recommendations could have been made by the committee as how to go about it.
Right.
But in this situation, we just suddenly heard that the special prosecutor invited him. They were given about 300 million to work, you know, and a lot happened between the space of time that they were. And the man himself has indicated, even he mentioned about how the 500 excavators and all that, you know, got missing and all that. And so I was thinking that if the president wanted to ensure that he stands by his position that he will put his presidency on the line to fight Galamsey, I was thinking that the president would have set up a committee like I mentioned. My good friend also mentioned that
the president prefers to direct the CID to look into the matter, as Mr. Pagri Bwachinakwa has told us, and the CID has done just that.
I think we are hearing it for the first time from him.
That's what I'm saying. That's
that
why I
we are hearing
it
for the first time that the CID has invited them.
Taking over.
Why should this be a secret? Why should this be a matter that nobody, should know about? Because it is a matter that the president thinks that he wants to be transparent on. So if it is a matter, if it is a subject that you know that you want to be transparent on, then why are you trying to work undercover? And my friend has also mentioned that the president has taken actions on this report, and he has not told anybody, and nobody is aware that the president is taking action A or B or C based on the report.
But that's why I asked him, and he said the president was more focused on getting the job done. The president is in a hurry. I mean, why you want to spend so much time trying to talk to Ghanaians about what's happening with the report? It's a report. And
I think it is not an excuse.
And he wasn't the only minister who actually submitted reports. Anyway, almost all the ministers who concluded their first time with the president submitted the report. So why must we spend so much time?
We all agree that fighting Galamsey is a matter.
It stands out.
It's a matter that everybody must pay attention to. It's a matter that we have prioritized as a country.
And especially when the president said he's put
his presidency on the line.
Yeah.
So I think that the best way to do it and to demonstrate to the public that the president doesn't have anything to hide is to make sure that the president comes out with a committee, an independent committee, to look at this, or to come out publicly and make a statement on the report and how the steps he's taking to make sure that, he addresses the issues in the report. Now, you asked the question about parliamentary committee. The Environment Committee, we have not been able to meet over that issue. Individually, we feel that this is not fair. It is an action that the committee will need to meet, because the issue of Galamsey is a very serious matter that as parliamentary committees working on environment, we haven't done too well, because it affects a number of committees. And since I joined Parliament, we haven't had a situation where the committees, we've had joint committee meetings to discuss on matters of illegal mining, which we all think that is crucial, a crucial matter that we must deal with. So the Environment Committee will have a meeting, and then we will discuss it and see as Parliament what we can do about the matter. But until we have met as a committee, I will not be able to, as an individual, see that so far this is what the committee has done on that matter.
But when the reports leaked, didn't the committee find it necessary to, for instance, invite Professor Frimpong Boateng to sit down with him and say, look, we want to know what's happening, because you've said some really serious things in that report that has caught the attention of our committee, and so come and also assist that with some more information. If you have some hardcore evidence to prove or to back the allegations or the claims that you've made. I'm surprised that the committee is not taking this up.
I think we were on recess and Parliament just resumed last week,
right?
And so we are now planning as to what activities to do. So we have to have a meeting before, as a committee, we can take action on this. Let me mention that the Galamsey issue is something that we must rise beyond partisan, because it affects everybody.
I agree.
It affects everybody.
I agree.
If you look at what is happening in the Galamsey side, if you just showed some footages, if you see what is happening on the Galamsey side, you get amazed. I was just reading a report, and I realized that from 19th century, around 1900, Ghana forest cover was about 8.4 hectares. And by half a century, it seriously deteriorated to 4.2 million hectares.
That's more than half.
More than half. And by 1999, it has drastically come down to 1.5 million hectares.
Almost 90% is gone.
And
that's what we're planting trees. That's what we're planting trees.
And FAO has also reported that approximately 140,000 hectares forest cover is degraded every year in Ghana.
Serious.
That's one of the 2010 report.
Right.
So it means that we have serious matter at hand to handle.
Okay.
We have to look at the Galamsey issue as a holistic matter, because what is happening is that it doesn't, when we degrade the environment and the repercussions are coming, it doesn't know NDC, it doesn't know MPP. We all have to.
It doesn't discriminate.
No. So we all have to try as much as possible to support in this direction. And so let's depoliticize it.
Right.
I was thinking that my friend will try to say that we should work together. We should try to allow the report to be looked at independently and solution found to it.
All right.
Instead of trying to defend, because I don't think that it is good enough when you read it. If you have read reports and then you read that report and you see the findings of the report, the challenges of the report, you will know that the achievement of the committee was very little.
Okay.
Was very little.
I see. Let's see. Let me do this. Let me read some of the messages that have come through so far. This is Inside Pages. We're having a conversation about the arrest and subsequent bailing of Professor Frimpong Boating, who was the former Minister for Science and Technology and, of course, Environment and Innovation as well, and all that has happened since. So, Koku Maulina sends a message. He says, Moro, considering the timing of the arrest of Professor Frimpong Boating, it is more than obvious that government only wanted to avoid being described on Green Ghana Day as practically doing nothing about Galamsey fight, hence seeking to use Prof to divert attention. Ekowusi and Wuntumi they own Akota Mining, and they are all walking free. Kokumauli Nalegbe says that best. Now, Kwekunsia says, Moro, I don't believe the president took any action on the report. If he did, why didn't he tell Ghanaians that he had instead of immediately referring to the CIA to investigate as soon as the report was leaked? Good morning, Moro. Dr. Palgrave is undoubtedly a great asset for the MPP party. Look at the way he takes his time to educate us on Galamsey and its related issues. Such a giant for a Buakwa North. That's from Khalifa. And I totally agree with you on that, Khalifa. He's a wonderful guy. This one here says that, good morning to you all panelists. This country has no leaders ever since JJ left. These people are just thinking about themselves. They only intimidate those who are trying to throw light on Ghanaians. For me, we don't have a president at all. Mubarak from Kumasi in Asawase. But the whole fight against Galamsey was merely a watershed to rather protect some people to mine freely without an impediment. When there was no small scale mining, gold production had rather increased. How do you explain that? Okay, so let me look at this. Okay, I guess that's it. So he doesn't agree with you that most of the deliverables have been met, and he rather thinks that it's a cover-up of a sort. All this Professor Frimpong arrest and so on and so forth. You have failed in fighting Galamsey, and you just want to witch hunt Professor Frimpong Boating.
Oh, that is not
Okay.
The report on page 10. And I mean, Professor is an academic, a very senior academic. I'm a younger academic as well. So our aspirations are the same in terms of our conversations this morning. Now, Moro, on the report, page 10, and this is a success story, and I would like to state it as it's stated here. It was clear to us from the beginning that the fight was not going to be easy. It would take years of hard work, education, dedication, and attitudinal change to bring about the change we desire. This is not the first time Ghana is fighting the menace of illegal mining. However, for the first time, the fight has been sustained, and an alternative to illegal mining practice is the community mining has been worked out and is being implemented with great success. Paragraph 2. Despite formidable challenges as far as the managing of the small-scale mining sector was concerned, the campaign by the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining has been successful. This assessment is based on the following. Number 1, all the small-scale miners were vetted, trained, and registered and given the licenses and permits to engage in their legitimate business. Number 2, the regulatory agencies were strengthened. Number 3, mining with impunity on water bodies and forest reserves declined. Number 4, more than 4,000 miners received training in sustainable mining. Number 5, the number of individuals dying in collapsed mining tunnels and pits in a few unauthorized locations left has reduced by more than 90%. Community mining program has been well received by the population, and young men and women who did not have the resources to acquire concessions and excavators and other mining inputs and therefore had to do galamsey have moved into community mining. Now, more than 20,000 individuals are earning their incomes legitimately in the community minings in Akrofum, Etiwa, Nyabieja, Etima, Impoma, Adanse North, Amensie Central, Wasa Manfi East, and Wa East districts. In conclusion, since the introduction of the community mining program, there has not been any incidents of death due to the collapse of a tunnel and pit. And finally, he says, the alternative livelihood program has been very successful. Now, Moro, if you look at the letter of the report,
right,
clearly, you will see that the mandates that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo gave to the committee, which was set up in 2017,
has substantially been delivered.
Has substantially been delivered.
Okay.
Now, Moro, in working in government, some of the challenges that Professor Frimpong Boating raised, I can identify with that. Now, he mentioned that most of the members of the Interministerial Committee abandoned the committee. But Moro, you must realize that this is an interministerial committee. Now, one of the first mandates that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo gave to the committee when it set it up, and I'll read it just for the avoidance, he said, strengthen the existing stakeholder agencies,
right,
that are related to artisanal and small-scale mining sector. What are the agencies? Minerals Commission, EPA, Water Resources Commission, and Forestry Commission. Now, so if an interministerial committee is formed, made up of various ministries, departments, and agencies, and meetings are held and representatives are even attending, and their ongoing KPIs that have been set in place for them to deliver on their own mandates is still ongoing, I think that, working in government is a very difficult task.
But here's how you, here's where you have a difficulty, and you may have a difficulty, Paragraph. So, when this report came out, the government, in fact, the Office of the President issued a statement. And I'm going to read to you what the Office of the President said. It says that, the government has described allegations by former chairperson of the then Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boating, that some officials in government are involved in illegal mining as a catalogue of grievances and hearsay. That's what the Office of the President said. According to a statement issued by the Office of the President on April 22, the government had been unable to act on the report which contained the claims by the professor because the report is not officially before cabinet as it was submitted in an informal way. It did not meet a certain set criteria. And so government doesn't consider it as a report. So then how do you reconcile a report which has not been considered? This is an official statement by the office of the president. He says the report, as far as we're concerned, does not meet the criteria or the threshold that it must meet to warrant our attention. How then does the same president then says, CID, look into the report? How do you reconcile these two positions? You know, because you say you're reliably informed that the president said, CID take over. But the office of the president says, this is not a report which is even worthy of our attention. So we've just thrown it probably into the dustbin. So how do you reconcile these two positions?
Moro, haven't seen the document you read.
You haven't seen this one?
If you don't mind, you can share, please.
I'll forward it to you. That's fine. I'll forward it to you. But anyway, it's something for us to chew on. Our time is up. It's 9:57. We have about 3 minutes. In fact, we're just about a minute to go. My name is Moradu. Oh, Prof, you want to add something quickly before we go?
Yes,
Sure. Just
briefly, I want to indicate that in 2017,
right,
the Ghana Water Company made it very clear to us that if by 2020 we don't take steps to stop the illegal miners from using the poisonous mercury to pollute our water bodies, we're likely to import water. This is how bad the menace has cost the country. And so it is something that we all have, as a matter of agency, depoliticize, and we all pay attention to and deal with the issue holistically so that we can all attain or achieve the fight against illegal mining.
Okay.
It is something that is actually deteriorating our environment, and
right,
we are environment, and the environment is us. So if we don't have clean, green environment to stay in, then it means that we are at risk. No matter how money you have accumulated, you will not be able to spend, because you won't even have life to be able to spend that money you have accumulated.
Right.
So I think it's beyond everybody, and we all have to rise up to fight the menace.
Okay. All right, Prof, thank you very much.
Right. The issue Prof raised about mercury.
Right.
I mentioned that our government has brought in mercury-free machines.
I recall.
Which is to react to that. I mean, that mercury-free machine is to make sure that people that are doing responsible mining
right,
do not use the water bodies for the cleaning of their gold and
so let's pray it gets to the right people.
Very important. Anyway, I want to
the mercury-free machine is in the communities.
All right, that's fine.
And it's working now.
Okay,
I saw the document you shared with me.
Yeah, that's fine. But
it's not
but
it's not an unofficial letter.
Oh, I'll send it.
It's a news publication.
No, it's Ghanaian Times.
Difficult for me to.
I'll send it to you. Don't worry.
Difficult for me.
Anyway, so I want to say a very big thanks for, again, tuning in Saturday to watch Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is Adumoro. Thanks for watching. Same time next week, Saturday. I'll be right back. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.